Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore Podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 93 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And just like Tim was struggling the last couple of weeks, now I seem to have the crud in my throat here. So while Tim is enjoying a nice beer of choice, I am sipping some orange rooibos tea that Julie happened to pick up today.
So how do I know you're really Brian?
I don't know. The New York accent might give it away, possibly.
I don't know. The thing can imitate a New York accent, I'm sure.
That is true. You don't know. I could have been assimilated into the thing. But I guess we'll know if I tend to ramble on. That's pretty much a sign of it, because even an alien creature probably cannot keep up with my crazy rambling. So
that's true. Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Instead of the blood test, we'll do the ramble test. So.
Yeah, just keep asking me questions, and when I give you a 45-minute answer to a yes or no question, we'll know it's me.
All right, guys. Well, probably, I know we say this every time. This is probably a episode that's on the shorter side. I'm not going to say it's going to be a short episode, but it will probably be shorter than our last couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Because we really do have like a smaller first chop and a smaller discmemberment this week. But we do have a really big movie to talk about. Obviously, we're doing John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. So let's get right to it. Here is our first chop. All right, Brian. Well, I was not so lucky on the old roulette wheel this week with my 40 Years of Terror project. I spun up 2001. Now, 2001 was a terrible year for horror movies. And I'm just going to pull up some right here just to...
I was going to say, give me some options. I don't remember what it is, which not bodes well for it.
Let me tell you some of the good ones that came out. There were a few diamonds in the rough. You had The Others. You had Session 9. You had the original Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, okay. So far, so good.
One called Dagon, which was a very good Lovecraftian one, if you guys haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that one. I never got to see it, but I know I've heard really good things about that.
Joyride, which is okay. I mean, so not terrible. But then you also had some really, really bad ones like Jason X, 13 Ghost, Ghost of Mars.
Oh, wait a minute. We have to be nice to 13 Ghosts, because we are going to meet one of the... hopefully meet one of the stars from 13 Ghosts.
Oh, that's right.
In just a few weeks. So you may want. Should we go back and re-record that, or just maybe you just got assimilated temporarily when we knocked?
Yeah, we'll just blame it on The Thing. I mean, because she's probably going to become a fan and start listening, and then go through all our backlog. So yeah, she might hear that.
Right. So, and of course, if you didn't see our announcement, we didn't put this in the rundown, but we have shared on social media. Shannon Elizabeth was added to New Jersey HorrorCon, and she's got some good horror cred. So
she does,
including the aforementioned 13 Ghosts. So.
And the Night of the Demons remake, which I trashed. So.
Oh my man, Tim, I might have to pretend you're like from a different podcast.
Ooh. Valentine, I guess, would fall in the more good category. I like that one.
Right. Yeah. You
have Scary Movie 2. I don't know if that counts as horror. I don't know. A lot of
comedy.
Really just bad sequels. It's just, I don't know. I had a very hard time with this one. So I didn't want to rent any of this garbage, so I had to find one that I could find for free. So I went with one called HORRORVISION. Not to be confused with TerrorVision.
I was going to say, because TerrorVision was good. That was enjoyable.
TerrorVision was good. No, HORRORVISION is the opposite of that. It's terrible. I put on the rundown, the AKA for this one is how to make 70 minutes feel like an eternity. This is the longest 70-minute movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Let me count the ways how this movie is so bad. It's, okay, let me tell you the plot. So... what little there is of it.
Yeah.
HORRORVISION is one of those movies about a possessed website, I guess. Scary website that people go on and then they get killed and if they go on it. One of those kind of things. Of course,
the truck off originality for this, right?
2001. I've never seen a movie made in 2001 that looks like it was made in 1990. It already looked a decade out of date. It looked even more dated because it has to do with computers, and I'm in computers every day. So when I see old CRTs and they were using like Windows 95, it instantly dated the whole film.
Were they using like Prodigy as their internet provider?
No, but they did mention AOL. They did mention AOL.
Okay.
And then what I hated about it was even the kills were a horror movie has to make a certain amount of logical sense. Like I know that maybe a ghost isn't real, but in the context of the film, if I believe that ghosts are real and there's a ghost in the film, then I can believe that the ghost in the film did the things that the ghost did. Whereas in this movie, the stuff didn't even make any sense. Like, how would this even happen? They had a website that can somehow make the wiring in your wall bust through the wall and grab you and strangle you. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And then
So is that like trying to be like prophetic and have the like a smart home, but like well before smart homes existed? Maybe you looked at this the wrong way. This sounds like it's very way ahead of its time too.
Maybe. Then there was a part where it like grabs this girl and like she, like the beam effect in Star Trek, it was like she dissolved into that and went into the computer, and I was like, oh my god, this movie, it just had those leaps of logic where I was like, this doesn't even make any sense. And then they go to this ISP and track down the server room, and with this guy that's like a really bad Blade knockoff, and they run into this guy that's like, or this, I don't know, it's almost like a Cenobite type character, like a demon, but he's got like wires coming out, like he's a computer demon thing.
Was he like that, like the woman in Superman 3? Remember when she got like eaten by the computer?
Yeah, sort of like that.
Out,
yeah, sort of like
that. Give
me
nightmares, by the way. That was freaky.
And then there's these like long, weird montages that you would see in an 80s movie, right? But it's like, I don't know, it's like really bad 90s alternative music. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I'm trying to think of an example, because I don't remember the songs, but something like driving down the road, I mean, something like that. And they're like driving in a car for like way too long. Like the montage doesn't even make any sense. It's just them driving, and it's playing this song the whole time. And there's another montage where like the woman's looking back on this guy's funny antics, and they use this bad filter. Like this bad yellow filter to make it look like it's in the past. It's like oh, it was so bad. And then at the final, I'm spoiling this movie. I'm spoiling the hell out of this movie because I don't want you to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I was going to, but I still appreciate it. I'm glad.
The final villain is like this guy dressed up, and it's like a giant metal skull thing. It looks like something out of a Rob Zombie music video. Which I hate to say because that disparages Rob Zombie, because this was bad. It was terrible. I mean, this movie was complete, I don't know, it's complete garbage. I hesitate to speak badly about movies because I like to be nice to everybody. There was nothing redeeming about this movie at all.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to have the creators of that on next week.
That's what I'm scared. You got me paranoid now. I'm scared we're going to go to this HorrorCon and just announce the whole HorrorVision reunion, and I'm going to go
right at the last minute, right?
Oh,
they'll be
God.
like, "Yes, we'll be, we'll be featuring everybody in it," which I don't know who that is. So right now I can plead ignorance, but you're on your own if these people come there and you got to defend yourself. I don't know.
So then I've got an unofficial project now.
Yes. Well, you had to get the bad taste out of your mouth with this one.
So I have a confession to make on the show, and that is I've never seen Toxic Avenger.
Well, I mean, really, could I criticize you since I've not watched The Walking Dead? So
no.
Really,
For some reason, everybody has their blind spots. Everybody has the stuff that fell through the cracks. For me, that was trauma movies. I was a Full Moon guy. I watched Puppet Master and those lines of films. I just never got into the trauma stuff. Well, when I found out Lloyd Kaufman was going to be at the HorrorCon, I was like, I got to brush up on my trauma stuff.
Right.
A little bit. I mean, come on. And
he's very talkative. He's very friendly. I've seen him in different things before. Like he was on Comic Book Man. He seems like a super friendly, like really wants to talk to you guy. So you kind of be on your game if you're going to strike up a conversation with him. Yeah.
So I decided to start with obviously probably the most well-known trauma film, which is The Toxic Avenger from 1984. Right. And let me tell you, I am so disappointed in myself for not discovering this movie earlier, because I absolutely loved this movie from start to finish. And I don't mean that ironically. I don't mean that it's so bad it's good. Like, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end. It was completely entertaining. It reminded me of what you would do if you were a kid with a budget, not a big budget, but a budget, and could get as many people and friends to act in your movie as you could, and just make some crazy off the wall movie. I mean, it was incredible. Like, I absolutely
what did
loved
you stream it on? Because I want to watch it again. I haven't seen this in years, and I remember it was thanks to Paul, actually, our good friend Paul, of course. He got me. He had me watch this the first time years ago, so I know it's yeah, I mean, years ago, like back like the 90s, you know. Right. But like so it's like I want to but I want to see it again now that you've seen it. Like, you know, I should prepare myself too if we get to talk to Lloyd. So well,
you're in for a treat because it is on Amazon Prime. They have all of them. They have all 4.
Awesome.
I think there's 4. And tons of other Troma films as well. Not all of them. I really want to see Poultrygeist because comes highly recommended.
And Kevin's been pushing. Yeah, he's been
pushing that one.
That.
They don't have Poultrygeist, but they have a bunch of the other Troma movies. My goal is to see as many Troma films as I can before this convention. That's my new unofficial project. So
yeah, we need to. Yeah, we got. I'm gonna make a list too. Actually, you know what? Actually, now that you said that, I think one of the things I'm gonna do tonight after the podcast, I think I'm gonna make a list. I'm going to look at all the guests, and I'm going to make sure I brush up on my trivia for them. Because you never want to go up there and, like, say, hey, I loved you in this. And then you find out, no, it's not. It's like you know, it was a movie that is that actor that kind of looks like them that was in it.
We need to have, like, a talking point for each guest.
Right.
Like, one little thing we could bring up just to, I think that would be a... See, we don't do cons. You know, we don't slack off. When we do cons, we do our homework.
Yes,
like, we're gonna approach.
We watch every movie and everything for Halloween Horror Nights, even though we've seen some of the stuff before. We wanted to make sure that we got all. You know, we saw everything, and I brushed Julie up on it too. We watched all Stranger Things again. We watched every movie, every IP that was there. We're gonna do as much as we can for this too.
Yeah, I think that's wise because you don't want to. I mean, they don't want to see somebody that doesn't know who they are.
Right.
You know, somebody told me something one time that made me feel more at ease at stuff like this, which was celebrities, whether they admit it or not, like the attention. Because if they didn't like the attention, they probably would have never become famous in the first place. So you should approach these things, especially at a con where they're going there for the specific purpose to be in the con, because they can always turn it down. They're going there to sell autographs and sell pictures and meet fans and that kind of stuff. So they're there for that purpose. That kind of helps put me at ease because I don't feel like I'm approaching this person on the street.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I never, I like I said, I can't think of a time at a con where I've talked to someone and it hasn't been anything less than pleasant because you're right, they are there for that and they enjoy. I mean, some more than others. Like you know, like I remember who did we Seth and I? Oh, Stacey Nelkin from Halloween 3 when we were at Chiller that time. She was so it was like I felt like I knew her from like another thing or something. The way that the conversation went, so natural, so fluid. And the one where I got Kevin's autograph for the one from Maximum Overdrive, which now I'm of course completely forgetting her name. But no, and it's like they really most of them want to talk to you, and you know all you got to do is like just they're normal people.
Yeah, just gotta be a normal person, not a weirdo.
Yes, which I've seen. I've told you. I've told my Martin Cove story with that one guy. But,
yeah, exactly.
But there's plenty there. Of course, Tim and I will probably get you do get a little nervous sometimes when you approach them, just for the split second, just because hey, I've seen you in all these movies, and I don't want to come up and look like a total moron, But
yeah, exactly. But I think it's going to be a blast. I mean. The conventions I've been to, again, same as you, Brian, has been nothing but nice things. Like I've come away like completely happy. So I think this will be a blast.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, so you are continuing your Twilight Zone project. Now, looking through this list, I did not see any, except for maybe the final one, that really blew me out of the water.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, yeah, this one was, this disc was decent, except for the last two, which are two of my favorite ones that I've seen, actually. These are two of my favorite ones of all time. The ones I'll try and go through these quick because the first couple were kind of like meh. So it was King 9 Will Not Return, and it's a pilot of a downed World War II bomber comes to the African desert and desperately tries to find out what happened to the rest of his crew. This one's a typical Twilight Zone twist. He wakes up in a hospital, blah, blah, blah. Sorry for spoiler alert, but this one really did not. This one I remember seeing, and I remember like feeling the same way I saw it the first time, where I was just kind of trying to get through it. Like, you know, it was very obvious that it was going to have that kind of twist because, you know, there's a couple of set Twilight Zone formulas that you can just, if you've seen all of them, you start to recognize.
I almost look at those as filler episodes. It's almost
right.
like, just put it in the formula generator and generate the twist and kind of thing.
Right, and this was supposedly the season premiere of season 2, so, you know, you figure there would have been a stronger one for that, but it's okay. You know, I mean, they all can't be amazing. But then the next one is the Man in the Bottle. It's a luckless couple stumbles upon a fortune when a genie materializes from a bottle in their antique shop. The genie grants them 4 wishes but warns them prophetically to be careful what you wish for. This one's in one of those typical ones. It was good, though. It was enjoyable, though, at least.
I actually remember this one.
Watch.
Yeah, I remember this one as kind of a take on the monkey paw formula, of course.
Yeah, exactly. It had a little comedy in it. You know, it was really fun. You know, it was one of those ones, just, you know, that whole thing, you know, it's too good to be true, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, but it's one of the rare ones that end kind of in a happy ending, so to speak, which was, you know, is a little departure from most of the other ones. Then the next one is Nervous Man in a $4 Room. Small-time criminal Jackie Rhodes must face both his past and his conscience while waiting for his next assignment. This one's kind of another run-of-the-mill one, but the performance was great by the lead actor in this. Mm-hmm. It was one of those ones where, you know, he had to do, basically was, you know, arguing with himself in the mirror and just doing a lot, almost like an extended one-man show at some point, which was impressive, the actor, actually. The next one, A Thing About Machines. Bartlett Finchley's paranoia about the machines around proves true. This one almost is like a one-man Maximum Overdrive, basically. Yeah. With a snooty British guy in place of Emilio Estevez. But it kind of had its moments of more like it had me laughing more than anything because nothing cracks me up more when like a snooty guy gets overly angry. And that's what this was all filled with, so that's why I kind of like this one.
maitre d' at the restaurant in Ferris Bueller.
Exactly, yes. Like that guy. It's like nothing but if he got really, really angry and like started screaming, that would be like the best. But and the last two, these were the two I had mentioned before. These are my two of my favorites of all time. There's one, The Howling Man. It says, seeking refuge from a storm, a traveler comes upon a bizarre abbey of monks who have imprisoned a man who begs for his help. When he confronts the head monk, he is told that the man is the devil, and he must decide whom to believe. So this is like, you know, it's a typical trope that's seen in movies, TV show, you know, that kind of a thing, like, well, which one is lying, which one is right, and this one kind of had a little twist. I was going to give you a spoiler alert. It turns out it was the devil, and he let him out, and kind of ends with a little summary of him trying to... basically he says how he's tracked him down for years and finally imprisoned him yet again. That like the guy felt guilty for letting him out, and he imprisoned him again, only to have I guess I don't know if it's his cleaning lady or his assistant or something let him out again. It teases that he's gonna let out, basically giving you the feeling that, you know, you're just never going to capture him. He always finds a way out. And then the last one was one of the all-time famous classic ones that probably, if you've seen just maybe a handful of Twilight Zones, this is probably one you've seen because it's always in the best of, and that's The Eye of the Beholder. And a young woman lying in a hospital bed, her head wrapped in bandages, await the outcome of a surgical procedure performed by the state in a last-ditch attempt to make her look normal. And again, we're going to be spoilers here. I'm sure if you've seen that. This one's kind of setting up. It's funny. If you watch now, especially, but even the first time I remember seeing this, you start to notice that they're really not showing the doctor or the nurse's faces. And, you know, no faces are actually shown in this. So you kind of start to question, you know, it's almost jarring because you're like, okay, is this a mistake? Why is this lit so funny? But anyway, it turns out, of course, that they reveal the woman to be this beautiful blonde, and Then when they reveal that everyone else, they're like these pig face people.
Yeah, you know what? I had learned about this episode before I had ever seen it. I don't know if it was through books or because it's such a famous episode.
Right.
But for some reason in my mind, I thought it was an Outer Limits episode.
Well, yeah, you know why? Because there's an Outer Limits thing where there is a creature that kind of, or a person that kind of looks like that in one of the episodes, I think.
Yeah, maybe that's where I got them confused in my mind. So when I saw this on the Twilight Zone, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought this was an Outer Limits episode. But yeah, super famous episode. Obviously it was because I actually knew about it before I even saw a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, it's like usually when they used to, around us, before they actually started doing the 24-hour sci-fi, sci-fi channel, Twilight Zone, or Channel 11, which was WPIX around here, used to always have, they used to play the Twilight Zone late at night anyway, once a night, I think, at one point, like around like 12:30. It was like after the Honeymooners. It was very weird, like late night scheduling. But then what they would do is every so often they'd have a Twilight Zone night where they'd have like 4 episodes. I think it was like once a year or twice a year sometimes, and that was the one that was always kind of in it. It was always the 4 they would do. Was I remember at one point was that one, the Burgess Meredith one, the To Serve Man.
Yeah,
it was like some of the most iconic ones that you remember, and the one with the what was it, the Invaders, the other classic one. So but then they started one year they started doing the New Year's Eve 24-hour marathons on WPIX, which eventually then transitioned. I guess that when they lost the rights, they never renewed them, and then it went over to Sci-Fi. So
yeah, those were great. That's where I saw most of my Twilight Zone episodes was during that Sci-Fi marathon. I mean, every New Year's I used to just put it on and record every episode. Yeah. So
yeah, I still have videotapes somewhere, literally, that say Twilight Zone Tape 4. It was like those Twilight Zone Tape 5. It was literally just tape after tape of those marathons.
Yeah, that's great. Next up, shout out to Cody. We talked about last episode. I just posed the question where we could track down Alfred Hitchcock Presents, because I used to watch those all the time, and she let us know that seasons 1 through 4 are streaming on Hulu. I had never thought to look on Hulu for some reason. And
yeah, me either. I think I keep forgetting I have it. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I watch Hulu a lot, but it's typically newer stuff. I watch the Goldbergs on it, and I watch shows that have just come out, American Idol, stuff like that. And I always forget they have such an extensive back catalog that I need to go look at those. So definitely going to start watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yeah, that's why Cody's awesome. She's such a good... She listens to, like, literally all the stuff we say, and is always, like, if we ever have pose a question out there, she's usually one of the first to answer it, which is great. So thank you again, Cody, because I watched an episode the other night on... I watched the first episode last night.
Nice. We have another talking point for the con here. Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, yes.
Adrienne Barbeau joins the cast of DC Universe's The Swamp Thing. That, of course, is being filmed here in my hometown, as we've mentioned before, which that's my talking point. I'm going to ask her if she's been to Wilmington, because very proud of the city and very excited for this project coming to our hometown, especially after our last governor completely destroyed our film industry. So the current governor is trying to slowly bring it back. And if this project is successful, I think we'll have... Yeah, obviously it opens the door for more projects to come back to the city. So I'm really hoping this thing is good. Now, I did start recently, that's not horror related, but I did recently start watching Doom Patrol on this DC Universe streaming platform. That's really good. So the foundation is there for really good shows. Titans is good. So I'm hoping this one lives up to that same high quality. And supposedly it's going to be, R-rated. This is not going to be held back.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be a real thing. Oh, and also, you got to think about it. What a great time for Adrienne Barbeau to appear at this, because she's right now on a big hot streak. She's got this. She's got her podcast, that She Kills podcast, just started on Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
So she's becoming like a big force back again in the horror community.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm very excited.
Been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I missed her at Mad Monster Party. I'm very excited. She was one of the ones I really wanted to meet, so I'm very excited that we'll get to meet her at HorrorCon. Next up, Fangoria issue 3 cover revealed Jordan Peele's Us, and I read a little blurb that they had originally wanted Jordan Peele on the cover.
Yeah.
And he declined because he said he grew up with Fangoria seeing his favorite horror icons on the cover of Fangoria, so he didn't want his face on there. He wanted, an image from the film. So I have been staying away from spoilers for this movie, like paranoid staying away, but I could not help but read some initial impressions from the premiere, and it just
there was a lot of non-spoiler reviews that are out there, which is good. They haven't been really they've gone out of their way to make sure they say non-spoiler, because I think they know everybody wants to see this without being spoiled.
And so far it's been on pretty much unanimous praise for this.
I think I got 100 right now on Rotten Tomatoes already for like the reviews, because I guess it's at that South by Southwest, whatever the film festival is that's going on. And it's gotten rave reviews from there. And they basically say that this proves he's not a one-hit wonder. So that just, I was so excited. And actually, it was funny. Julie had said, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about it somehow, and she said, you know what? She goes, that movie looks legitly scary. Like she goes, that, and not much scares her with stuff, as Tim could attest, as from seeing her go through the houses at Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
She just kind of walks through, and they're more afraid of her, I think, the way she just storms through, and they don't really have any. I think she's scared more of them by doing that stop and start.
She literally interrupted a gunfight between Loomis and Michael Myers, and anybody can do that as you don't want to mess with.
So she's but she's actually really looking forward to this. So she was so we're definitely going to probably go see that opening weekend, because I definitely want to go before people start talking about it, because Get Out we waited way too long to see. So this one we're going to try and go see right away. So
I've got to go see this one. It's hard for me to get to movies with the kids, and because you got to get a babysitter and all that stuff. So I'm dying to just see this opening weekend somehow, some way. Even have to go by myself and bring Olivia later. I don't know
I'm sure
whatever
you want to see it a couple of times.
Yeah. All right, and then finally we have a new Retro Picture Show event. I'll let you talk about this one, Brian.
Yeah, this one I'm gonna really try and get to, because this one is really cool. So I had seen it announced before, but they've added some details that now they make this almost a must go to. So it's a double feature of Friday the 13th Part 2 and the final chapter. And, of course, I had seen Part 3 on that special 3D festival there. So, I have a good history there with my Retro Picture Show and Friday the 13th. But what the best part is so they're both, first of all, they're both 35mm prints of it. So it's the original prints, which is pretty cool on its own. They also have, it starts at 10 o'clock, but from 7:30 to 10, they have Amy Steele, which is going to be there. Signing autographs and taking pictures and doing a meet and greet there. And, of course, she played Ginny, the final girl from Part 2, which was, actually, if you think about it, it was a very advanced final girl for that time in the 80s, when they were kind of pretty much stereotyped as this. But she had the thought process and the she looked into why Jason might be the way he was at that point, before even anyone knew who Jason was. And it was always a pretty, she was very intelligent and forward thinking final girl at the time, and she justly survived.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool, because so she was always one of my favorite final girls, actually, out of the franchise. So the fact that she's there, really, it'd be fun meet and greet. And then what they're doing is, so then they're timing it so the final chapter starts at 12 midnight, which will actually fall on April 13th, and will be the exact 35th anniversary moment to the day from when it debuted in theaters back in 1984. So that's a really cool. They always do a good job of things. Oh, and she's also going to be introducing, by the way, Part 2. So she comes in, like when I did it last time, they had the people from the 3D company that restored it. So she's going to actually come in and introduce the start of Part 2, which is another cool little bonus there. So
yeah, you can't beat the price. I mean, it's ridiculous.
$18. Yeah, $18. It's even less, I think, for members. But if $18 for 2 movies and a meet and greet.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That's cheaper than a regular movie around here. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
So that's crazy. All right, guys. Well, let's get right into our Blu-ray releases for March 19th, 2019. This is our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God, no, don't call up.
Okay, first up, this one actually was on the Discmemberment that we missed. So apparently it got pushed a couple of weeks. So I guess it crawled a couple of weeks forward in time. The Deadly Mantis from 1957. This is a Shout Factory release. I'll tell you what, these Shout Factory releases of these old movies are kind of the ones I want to collect the most. This one's directed by Nathan Jurin, starring Craig Stevens, William Hopper. What can you say when the name makes its own joke?
I know.
And Alex,
you can't even say anything.
Alex Talton. So, a giant I know, okay, entomologist, I know a praying mantis is not a grasshopper, but it's an insect. It kind of works.
Yes, I get it. I got it.
It kind of works.
And I think they may not hop, but they look like they would hop, which is close.
And they're green. I mean, it's close enough. Come on.
Right.
A giant prehistoric praying mantis, recently freed from the Arctic ice, voraciously preys on American military at the...
I see what you did there.
on American military at the dew line. I don't know what that is. What's a dew line?
I don't know. Why it's all in caps, too. DEW.
Ken probably knows. He's the military guy. Dew line, and works its way south. So... this is as a brand new 2K remaster of the film. New audio commentary with film historians Tom Weaver and David Schechter. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode, The Deadly Mantis, from 1997. So, of course, this movie's got to be spectacular if Mystery Science Theater 3000 did an episode on it.
If they put that in their repertoire, you know it's like you're talking about Academy Award winning gold here. But so just to save Ken the research, I looked it up. It's the DEW is a distant early warning line, also known as the DEW line or early warning line. It was a system of radar stations in the far northern Arctic region of Canada, with the additional stations along the north coast and Aleutian Islands of Alaska. It says in addition to the Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Iceland. So I don't know if that helps you.
Little known fact is when it hits the Appalachians, it turns into the Mountain Dew line.
Oh, God. Tim, don't do the do on that
Okay,
one.
I was like, theatrical trailer and still gallery. All right, next up. Now, I'm going to get fired now. Usually I fire Brian, but now he's going to fire
usually
me.
it's my pun that was bad.
This one's called The Witches. This is
Wait, maybe you did get assimilated then?
Yeah, that might be. That might be the tell. This is actually my pick of the week. I don't know why. It just seems cool. The Witches, 1966, from Shout Factory, directed by Cyril Frankel, starring Joan Fontaine, Kay Walsh, and Alec McCowan. Following a horrifying experience with the occult in Africa, a schoolteacher moves to a small English village only to discover that black magic resides there as well.
Boy, she's got to brush up her resume and get to another career, I think.
I think so. Oh, I know I picked this as my pick of the week because it's a Hammer movie.
Oh, right.
New audio commentary with filmmaker historian Ted Newsom. Hammer Glamour. I like that. Featurette on the women of Hammer.
The women of Hammer.
These people that do these featurette names, we missed our calling, Brian. We should have been the ones that
really
did this. Oh,
we need to somehow start creating our own Blu-rays, with the Civil Gore branding on it, and just make our own things.
U.S. trailer for The Devil's Own, a double feature trailer for Prehistoric Women and The Devil's Own, and a still gallery. I don't know how trailers for another movie is an extra on this movie, but
yeah, I'm not quite sure what.
I don't know what they're going for there, but that's my pick of the week. The Witches sounds cool.
Yeah, I actually just ordered two. Best Buy had some of the other 2 packs of the Hammer ones that I don't have. They were like $8.99, so I ordered a couple. They're coming next week, so I'm gonna slowly try and get all these Hammer movies in my collection while they're cheap.
Yeah, I got to get the other. I think there's 2 more that I don't have that I need to grab. And then I'll have all of them that have been released so far, I believe.
So, I mean, because they're not every single one, right?
I don't know how they pick which ones they do for those double features, but everything they've released so far, which is like our 8-pack and then the double feature packs, I haven't seen any reissues. Like, I haven't seen any doubles.
Yeah, because the ones I got, the 2-pack I got was the one that has Revenge of Frankenstein, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, and The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll and the Gorgon.
Yeah, that's the 2 I have.
Yeah, so those are the 2 I ordered. If it was $8.99, it's not a bad price for that on Best Buy.
Oh, no, and they're fantastic. I mean, they don't have any extras on them, but that's okay. If you just want to see the movie on Blu-ray, they're utterly fantastic. So,
oh yeah, no, I just want to get the Hammer. It was once Tim got me down in that Hammer wormhole, so to speak. I'm in there with that 8-pack. Now it's like I gotta complete.
Oh, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. I don't know how many. I mean, there's a ton of Hammer horror films. I had a list of all of them at one time. I mean, there's dozens and dozens and dozens. I don't know how many are actually available on Blu-ray. At some point, I need to just make that master list and then find out which ones are available. Because I'd love to have all the Hammer movies. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, there, Cody, there's your assignment
Yeah.
this week. Get Tim and I all the information on every Hammer release.
Oh my! You're making Cody our intern. She's going to be an unpaid intern.
No, we're gonna send her some prize packs.
Okay.
We still owe her Paul Blart too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's some dream job. I do all this work and get paid for Paul Blart too. Jeez. Next up is The Minion from 1998. This is a Kino Lorber release directed by Jean-Marc Pichet, starring Dolph Lundgren, who was recently at Monster Mania.
Oh, yeah. I saw a lot of pictures of him there.
Francois Robertson and Roch LaFortune. All right. This is a long synopsis.
Oh, my God. I know. Guys, get a pillow. Get to go.
Oh, my God. My
smoke
voice
if you got them. Go to the bathroom.
You can hear my voice is already shot again. I started off strong. I started off dulcety, and now I'm like into.
You did, yeah.
It's terrible.
I should dulcet.
Now I am dulcetless. New York, Christmas Eve, 1999. At the dawn of the new millennium, a subway construction crew unearths an 800-year-old Celtic skeleton and a mysterious key. Archaeologist Karen Goodleaf is called in to determine the meaning of the discovery. News of the discovery reaches a Middle East monastery where the warrior monks known as the Knights Templar, an ancient sect entrusted with protecting holy relics, choose their best pupil, Lucas, Dolph Lundgren, to face the diabolical threat. As Lucas races to New York, an evil minion seizes Karen and uses its body like a parasite and host. What?
Okay.
You can't be the parasite and the host at the same time.
Yeah, how could you be both? I'm not sure.
Lucas arrives just in time to rescue Karen and dispatch the minion. The minion takes hold of another host, revealing that it is immortal. As it cuts a path of destruction through the city, decimating a parking garage and leaving a trail of death.
I love how that, they felt that the name to do that detail, that it was a parking garage.
Yeah, this thing's really a worldwide disaster, guys. It's taking out parking garages.
Listen, you'll have to go to an extra block to get to the Ready Park.
Leaving a trail of death, Karen realizes that the minion can't be killed, but only delayed from finding a new host.
So I guess they went through the same thing as the Oscars did this year. They can't find a host, and they just keep...
A minion has, since Despicable Me, I can't see the word minion capitalized, and I'm envisioning this whole thing with Dolph Lundgren tracking down this evil minion from Despicable Me, and he's like,
yeah, right, I know. You could. Well, they probably would want me because I've been told so many times that I'm just one in a minion, but
okay, so...
I'll see myself out.
New 2K remaster.
But by the way, actually, can you do me one favor though? I kind of missed some of it. Can you read that whole synopsis again? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God! You want me to go back into laryngitis mode?
No, it's okay. We can. I think I got it.
I'm sure plenty of our listeners would love for me to completely lose my voice after these jokes. A new 2K remaster of the film, an audio commentary by director Jean-Marc Pichet, and a theatrical trailer. So. If you are missing this particular gem from your Dolph Lundgren collection, now's your chance. All right, next up. This one I did not do a full synopsis of because it's a 3-pack type thing, and it was just too much. I was like, these films aren't worth it. This is Spiders 2 Breeding Ground, and Spiders 3D.
Well, that follows exactly the way it's supposed to go, with the third one being in 3D.
Exactly. So these came out in 2000, 2001, and 2013, respectively. This is released by a new company that I have not heard of before, Echo Bridge Entertainment. And I don't know really what they're about other than it's about giant spiders from outer space, I think. So if you want a 3-pack of that kind of thing, now's your chance to grab those, the Spiders trilogy. Next up, The Final Wish. Now, this one I'm actually very interested in because it stars the great Lin Shaye. Yeah. This one actually came out this year, and it's being released by company NVG, directed by Timothy Woodward II, or the second.
Yeah,
I'm reading movie. I'm reading movie titles. So when I see two, I'm not like thinking the second.
Yeah, well, you forgot the subtitle. It's Timothy Woodward 2. To Timothy, to Woodward.
That's what a lot of people say about me. I'm just too Timothy. This one stars Lynn Shay, Michael Welch, and Melissa. I can't do it.
It's not what you think because there's no G in there.
Okay, but it looks like Melissa Bologna.
Yeah, Bologna, not Bologna, which I know what Tim was thinking of saying.
And I know, and I'm desperately trying not to sing my Bologna has a first.
Yeah, my Bologna has a first name.
It's Melissa.
Well, it's funny because it would be great if it starred like Oscar Mayer or was also in it. Like somewhere, but.
This film is a wiener. Okay, let's keep going. I don't know. I have not been drinking, folks. I'm literally drinking. I know I talked about a beer in the start of the episode. I'm literally drinking pomegranate Flavor Aid. So I don't know what it's doing to me, but let's continue. The next one up is Crone Wood from 2016. This is released by Gravitas Ventures, directed by Mark Sheridan, starring Elva Trill, Ed Murphy, and Sarah Jane Seymour.
Wait, is it Ed Murphy? Is that Eddie Murphy sneaking a role to be like more professional?
Maybe that's... Oh, I don't think starring in Crone Wood is a way to get your career back. But I haven't seen the movie. It might be great.
Well, he could be in it like in a very small but distinguished role. You know, like he's one of those where they save him for the end and he just comes out and he's like the mastermind behind it all.
Maybe. A young couple who just met decides to go camping after a wonderful first encounter, a decision they will soon regret. And I when I read that, is it their first encounter that they will soon regret, or is it the decision to go camping?
Yeah, it might be a little both. Maybe I know if this is actually Eddie Murphy in this, he'll probably be the one that's regretting something. But we'll see if he's in there.
Oh man! All right.
Oh, this is the one you gave me. Wait a minute. This is the one you gave me for the. This is a trap to get me to say something stupid.
It is.
But okay, we'll see.
And
I know I've heard this movie before. That's the thing, and it's been on. I think it's been on like it was either on Shudder or Amazon or something. But
you don't know how much delight I find. You don't know how much joy it brings to my life to be able to pick the movie that Brian has to guess the synopsis on. Because
wait till you guys hear this one, because there's one. Like obviously, if I go literal, that it's just gonna make me into a pervert. But
which is exactly why I chose it.
I know.
So, Brian, this one is strip nude for your killer. From 1975, released by Arrow, directed by Andrea Bianchi. I don't know. Starring Edwidge Finish, Nino Castelnuovo, and Femi Benusi. So,
see, I would have almost thought this was a Jess Franco film by that title, but
so I want to know your thoughts. What is strip nude for your killer about?
It's just, you would not give me one so easy where it's just literally like strippers are being stalked. There's no way that could be it. I'm going to go more metaphorically. And the worst part is I had opportunities to see this film because I saw it on Shudder or something or Amazon Prime. And obviously that name is so like odd that it draws your attention.
Oh, wait. Let me give you the Italian title because that may help you. Because I love this. Nude per l'assassino.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna go metaphorical. It's not actual nakedness. It's maybe about some kind. I'm gonna say it's more of a psychological thriller where someone basically exposes all their inhibitions in some way. Yeah, but like metaphorically exposes all their inhibitions and desires, but which leads them to be the target of a killer.
No.
Damn it.
But you're pretty close. Actually, you're actually fairly close. Okay. There is a killer.
Okay. I figured that had to be in there somewhere.
There's a killer.
They were going to be. They're going to have that one, yeah.
Here's the funny thing. This movie was actually not supposed to be on our Discmemberment because technically it is a mystery thriller. It's not a horror movie. But
okay.
it was just too good to pass up. I don't usually put the thrillers on here, but this movie was too good to make you guess. So, and it has some really great extras, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say this one definitely could be classified as horror. It just doesn't.
Well, I see it says audio commentary by Horrorpedia. So
yeah,
that's
I mean,
gotta be something.
It's very close to that line. So, when a fashion model dies during an abortion, a series of murders begins, starting with her doctor. The next victims are connected to the modeling agency where she worked, Albatross, run by a hard-edged and jealous bisexual, Gisela, married to a Farouk-like dissolute. I don't even know what that means. One suspect is Carlo, a playboy photographer who has a hot temper and refuses to share information with the police. He becomes the lover of Magda, another photographer at the agency who's probably in danger. The murderer wears a black motorcycle outfit and helmet. Will anyone discover the murderer's identity before the entire agency dies?
Why is this borrowing a plot point from Grease 2? That's what I want to know.
Well, the black helmet thing sounds familiar. The black motorcycle helmet. I don't know if I'm thinking of a different.
Because it's Grease 2. Because now you're gonna start going, who's that guy? And you see, watch. No, they I know what you mean. That does sound like I've seen. You know what? I feel like I've seen it in one of those. And maybe not the Eli Roth documentary, but one of those types of documentaries where they were showing genre films of the time.
Yeah.
I want to say I saw it like that, where it showed like a clip and it had like the subtitle, like, strip nude for your killer, 1979, or whatever, like at the bottom of it. Like, I want to say it was like I had seen a clip from that, possibly.
I mean, Brian watches so many movies with nude in the title, they just all blend together. It's really hard.
Yeah. See, that's why I figured I'm surprised this one escaped me. But,
So listen to this feature list. A new 2K restoration. I'm not going to worry about the soundtracks. Original lossless mono soundtrack, blah, 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 whatever. New audio commentary by Horrorpedia.com's Adrian J. Smith and David Flint. That's probably pretty good. Sex and Death with a Smile, a new video essay by author and critic Kat Ellinger on giallo and sex comedy icon Edwidge Finish.
See, okay, now she's,
Finish.
I think, pretty big. I knew her name. Like, I don't think I've ever known how to pronounce it either, but, I remember seeing her name in a bunch of other movies. In fact, one that you maybe had me watch, one of the giallo ones, probably, so...
A Good Man for the Murders, a newly edited video interview with actor Nino Castelnuovo. The Blonde Salamander, a new video interview with actress Erna Schurer. The Art of Helping, a new video interview with assistant director Danielle Sangiorgi. Jack of All Trades, a new video interview with actor and production manager Tino Palinghi. I'm not even trying at this point. 2 versions of the opening scene, tinted and untinted. Original Italian and English theatrical trailers, an image gallery, a reversible sleeve, and first pressing only, an illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by critic Rachel Nisbet. So that sounds like a fantastic release if you're into those kind of nude killer movies. I don't know if the killer's
which apparently I am. According to Tim. I gotta jump on this.
I don't know if the killer is
out.
nude or she only kills, or he or she only kills nude people, or I don't know how that works. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Maybe I'll have to watch it just to report back on how much nude there actually is.
Yeah. Now, for horror releases this week, we have a big one.
Right.
That's going to be... No, I'm sorry. That was for next week. Us is next week.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
This week
I'm jumping ahead.
This week we have Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase. So maybe slightly horror adjacent for the younger crowd.
Well, that could be because those Nancy Drew mystery.
They had a little
Nancy
tinge.
Drew. See, you got me thinking of the Drew line again. I said Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew, like all the Hardy Boys. They always have that walk on the line to possibly being horror or something.
Brian, did you read The Three Investigators? That's the one I used to read.
No, I had some. My dad had the whole Hardy Boys collection, and so that's if I ventured to read it all when I was there, he had that at my grandmother's house, and when I was there, he had all the books. He still has them somewhere, and some of the first printing ones. So he's got some the gems in there. So I remember I read a couple of those.
The reason The Three Investigators was actually had Alfred Hitchcock tied to it because it was the first book was actually, I think on the book cover it would say Alfred Hitchcock and The Three Investigators, or Alfred Hitchcock Presents The Three Investigators.
Oh.
So that's actually what caught my eye originally. And I used to read those all the time. Those were really, really good. They were in the same vein as Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. It was kids solving a mystery type thing, but they were really good.
What was the other one? There was like another one that was along those things. It was like the Hardy Boys, the Nancy Drew, but there was another one like with some of the brothers or something, I want to say maybe. I don't know. I could be thinking of something more modern, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But, well, there's so many, you know.
Yeah,
like,
that was kind of a common thing back then.
Yeah. So.
All right, guys. So that brings us to our main feature, The Thing, 1982, directed by John Carpenter. And there's a lot of characters to keep up with in this movie. So Kurt Russell.
And a great cast, by the way.
Fantastic
This is one of the best ensemble casts in a horror movie.
Kurt Russell plays Mccready. Wilford Brimley plays Dr. Blair. T.K. Carter plays Knowles. David Clennon plays Palmer. I like saying Knowles.
Knowles.
David Clennon plays Palmer. Keith David plays Childs. Richard Dysart plays Dr. Copper. Charles Hallahan plays Vance Norris. Peter Mahoney plays George Bennings. Richard Macer plays Clark. Donald Moffat plays Gary. Joel Polis plays Fuchs?
I think Fuchs,
and Thomas G. Waits plays Windows. So this, of course, if you've been living under a rock, is about a research team in Antarctica which is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. I would argue that this, aside from Halloween, is John Carpenter's masterpiece.
Well, he feels this is his favorite. Yeah, I think he's gone on to say, yeah.
And I think you could make an argument. I mean, Halloween is just so iconic. It's hard to say it's not the best of his film library just because was the first. But
it launched so much from that.
Right.
That's why I think Halloween, maybe to horror fans, gets the edge for that, and I could see why him as a filmmaker may find this one more.
Right, because
this may have been more satisfying for him in the end.
Right, because from a effects perspective, from an acting perspective, I mean, everything about this movie is phenomenal, and it was not critically well reviewed at the time. I mean, this took
panned.
This took a number of years for this movie to gain the recognition it deserved. And I believe it's because it was so far ahead of its time. It really was.
Yeah, I think like if Rotten Tomatoes was around then, it probably would have gotten like a 12 from if you read the reviews to what they said about it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and it would have been a shame because you would have, you know, like if you would have take stock in those reviews, you would have missed a gem.
Yeah, and I cannot tell you how many times I've watched this movie over the years, and I cannot remember, because of that, the first time I ever saw it. I really do not remember the first time I ever saw this film.
I think I remember watching. I was trying to think because I have not seen this in years. And I remember, I think the time I saw it, it was probably when it was back on HBO, like on its original like airings was when the first I saw it. And then, you know, obviously it's been on channels since then, you know, cable. But I remember, I think that's when I first saw it. Definitely, I know I did not see this in the theater. But so I think I saw it when it came on HBO or Movie Channel, whatever it was at the time. For the first time was when I first saw it. So it's, you know, years ago. It's probably you would say 84 by the time I saw it, a couple of years after it was out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, obviously, it stars the fantastic Kurt Russell. I will say, if you ever have a chance to listen to a Kurt Russell audio commentary, they're usually fantastic. I mean, he's as charming on his commentaries as you would imagine he is in real life. And so I recently listened to the Big Trouble in Little China commentary, which was fantastic. And the commentary he does for The Thing is also really, really good. It's on that big Shout Factory Collector's Edition I have. And I watched this movie probably 4 times just going through that disc because there's so many commentaries.
I got to watch some of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have that really good Shout Factory version or Scream Factory version. And I want to get, I really want to, you know, like this weekend just with the, it was busy. By the way, a little off topic there. I just wish Mazel Tov to Steve Cohn, our own Steve Cohn. His daughter got bar mitzvahed. So that's where I was on Saturday for all day. So I kind of lost some time in terms of what I usually get to watch. You know, when I watch the movie, I'll watch the extras. Didn't really get to do that on this occasion. But yeah, that's something I'm going to revisit shortly to remedy that because there's a lot of deleted scenes on there. I want to probably listen to the commentary. And it's yeah. And I got to tell you something too. Is I noticed about it's so funny. Kurt Russell in this, you could oh my god, he look like Wyatt Russell looks identical now to Kurt Russell did in this movie. If you look at like, especially if I just watched Overlord,
right? Yeah,
that like the expressions he has, and that serious like just the expression he has, but there's like this, it's hard to explain, but it's like I was like, oh my god, no, I mean, you always know the resemblance, but like in this, if you look at 82 Kurt Russell versus like current day Wyatt Russell,
it's pretty
like
creepy. Yeah,
it's like if they ever had to film like a deleted scene like now for like back then, they could easily just get Wyatt Russell to.
I think they could. You know how they age reduce people like they did with Robert Downey Jr. In one of the recent Avengers movies where they make him look younger again.
Yeah.
I bet you could almost do that. You could almost take his son and like motion capture him somehow or whatever. And
you're right. And aren't they talking about another like Escape from New York movie? Like that was Escape from Planet Earth or something. I think it was called, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. Imagine if they need to go in a flashback, they could totally use Wyatt Russell.
So
you're welcome out there, by the way.
So of course, the film opens with a helicopter, which we learn is Norwegian, pursuing a sled dog, and the passenger accidentally blows up the helicopter.
Boy, talk about a duh moment.
The pilot ends up. There's an American team led by, I guess not led by Mccready. At this point, he's kind of. I guess they're all kind of. I don't think there's like a.
He kind of just.
He's like the natural leader. It's Kurt Russell, for God's sake. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he is, but like I think his actual role is kind of like almost like he's like a watchman. Like they have him up in his tower looking at stuff.
Right.
Right. I mean,
yeah, because I think the actual leader is. Gary.
Is it Blair?
No, it's Gary.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, but he ends up and Gary actually shoots the pilot who tries to shoot at them, and he shoots them in self-defense. So of course they go to.
Yeah, I apologize by the way for the because the characters. There's so many in this that it does tend to get a little confusing in terms by name.
Yeah, I actually had to take as many times as I've seen this movie. I actually had to take very careful notes as for the particular plot points with the characters, because even after I've seen this a dozen times, it's hard to keep all the characters straight in your head. As far as the names, I could see their faces, but the names go in with the faces.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're if you describe them, it's pretty. But like remember every name is a little tricky.
Yeah. So they find the bird remains of the helicopter passenger, and they go to autopsy it just to find out what happened, what's going on, why these people are acting so crazy. They do rescue the sled dog, which turns out to be a really bad idea because the dog is kennelled with the other sled dogs.
But he's a cute little friendly dog at first when you look at him.
Yeah, he's a cute friendly dog, but he ends up turning into a monster. And this is the first really horrific thing that happens in the movie, this dog transformation scene. And this is what sets the stage for the rest of the movie's effects. And let me tell you, I mean, watching this movie again, those effects still hold up today. I don't care who you are. It's other than I would say maybe the Blob remake, that is. I have not seen effects hold up this well for a movie that old. I can't think of another.
Alien, maybe. Alien, some of them.
Some of them, and not all of them.
Not all of them, yeah.
I mean, the only one I can think of is the Blob, really, that comes to mind, that where all of the effects hold up. And even then, I'd have to rewatch the Blob to make sure. But the thing, man, I mean, now granted, there is the stop motion stuff at the end. That's a little wonky, but
a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe it's the remastered version that Scream Factory produced. Maybe they remastered it enough that it covers maybe some of the things. But the visuals on it looked like it could have been made like within the last 10 years. Some of the scenes, it was so clear, the disc.
Yeah, it really was. It's. Again, if you don't have this disc as a horror fan, you need to go buy. If you don't buy one Shout Factory disc in your life, I would say buy the thing. It's
this is probably the one.
Probably their best collector's disc. Now, granted, I don't own all of them, but it's the personal best disc in my collection. I feel best single disc. So yeah, the dog turns into a hideous beast, which attacks the other dogs. And, of course, they don't know what the heck's going on. Childs incinerates it with a flamethrower. And Blair gets the unfortunate duty of autopsying this monster. And this is where they determine, and I mean, Blair's like really on his game, Wilford Brimley, because
because it's the right thing to do and the right way to do it.
He did not find out that the monster had diabetes, but he did. He did find out that it could assimilate and take on the identities of other creatures. Is that kind of a stretch to get all that from an autopsy, maybe, on an alien creature that you've never seen before in your life? But
listen, this is Wilford Brimley, okay? He has got experience with aliens. He went, and don't think we're not connecting this to Cocoon like we did.
Can we connect every movie to Cocoon? Maybe we can.
We might. I think maybe that's a new game we should throw into. 6 Degrees. Forget Kevin Bacon already. Let's go to 6 Degrees of Cocoon.
I'm up for it. I want to see how long we can connect movies to Cocoon. From here on, starting now, or starting last episode, we're on a 2-winning streak right now.
Yes, because Wilford Brimley obviously secretly survived, met Maureen Stapleton, Maureen Stapleton, yes. Met Maureen Stapleton as he made it way back to civilization and hid the fact, but the aliens, they found him.
Oh, okay. I really need to rewatch Cocoon if I'm going to participate in this.
I know, now you got to watch that.
Oh, how about the last time I
just
watched
gave him
Cocoon?
a new backlog.
Jeez. So, from some data they collected from the Norwegians, they are led to a large spacecraft, which is a very impressive piece of mat work there. I really liked them discovering this giant alien spacecraft. And so they know that this thing is alien and from another world. And then we get the first attempts of the thing to actually assimilate a human. It tries to get Bennings, but Windows interrupts the process, and Mccready flamethrowers it again. Flamethrowing is a constant in this movie because it's really the best way to kill the thing.
Yeah, it was funny. Someone wrote in there, said, why do they have so many flamethrowers? I saw that like it was in a comment.
Yeah.
It was kind of an interesting point. Why? They're in the Arctic. Like, you figure, wouldn't, like, flamethrower just start melting things around them? And
I don't know.
And there are a lot of wood panelings in there.
But there's probably no more effective snowblower than a flamethrower, if you think about it.
That is true. That would get you, yeah. That would kind of get you there. But
so Blair kind of goes nuts at this point and sabotages everything in the base to try to prevent anybody from escaping. So he's like sabotaging the snowmobiles, the sled dogs, everything to try to keep everybody.
Like Kurt Russell's helicopter, for God's sake.
And so the team like locks him in a shed because at this point, this is the first time now you get the inkling of what this movie is all about, and that is, who can you trust? The alien looks like everybody else. He could have assimilated anybody. We don't know where he is. We don't know who he is. So now you
actually, and this one, what it does is cool is it could be multiple people. They don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know. So which is good. It's not usually that. Like a lot of times that trope will do. All right, the killer is among us. Which one was the killer? But then you find out that this could be literally everyone, all of them at that time, or none of them, or one of them, or three of them.
Yeah, and that's such a fun concept. Now the Thing board game actually does this. Like one of you is the Thing, and so you're trying to kind of play along and cooperate with the other players, but at the same time trying to sabotage them. That's kind of
it's kind of like that show, The Mole. Remember that?
Yeah. That was a great show. That was one of my favorite reality shows.
Mine too. And I was so mad that they brought it back. I think for one season they resurrected it, and it wasn't as good the second time. But that was one that I wish would have had more longevity. I love that concept.
And Anderson Cooper Anderson Cooper's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Imagine him being the host of that made it so cool.
Yeah. But what I was getting at there is we recently played a game called Mansions of Madness. And this is a Lovecraftian inspired game. And it's cooperative, so you're working together to solve mysteries and fight monsters and that kind of thing. But we played a very interesting scenario because there's multiple scenarios in the game. And the one we played was where one of the players at random was a deep one, which is one of the fish-human hybrid type creatures. But,
oh my God, what a you game, Tim.
Yeah, but I could pass as human. Well, I ended up being the fish creature. So I am the deep one. So what I had to do was you couldn't reveal this to anybody. Now, the way the game was set up and the way it was randomized, it could be that none of us were the creature, or it could be two of us were the creature, or it could be one of us was the creature. So there was a chance that none of us were the creature. And
that's cool.
It was a lot. It was so much fun because I knew I was the creature and I was trying to figure out a way, how do I sabotage the game in such a way that it doesn't look like I'm sabotaging it? So there was, there was little ways to do that. Like you could tell.
You have to under-sabotage, basically.
Yeah, basically
right?
It was like, okay, I knew rescuing people. We were on a ship. That was the whole thing. We were on an ocean liner. I knew rescuing people from the ocean liner was the end goal of the good guys. So how do I delay those people from getting on the rescue boat, that kind of stuff. And I was casting suspicion on other people. So at one point, I had another guy in my group, everybody convinced that he was the deep one. Now, I didn't know he could have been a deep one for all I knew, but I thought maybe he was innocent, right. And I was casting all the blame to him. I mean, it was so much fun. Like, I can imagine, obviously I wouldn't want this to happen in real life. But in terms of gameplay, it was so much fun being like the sabotage, the bad guy that was hidden.
But so how is that done? Like, is it done? You pick cards? Is it like a D&D style where you roll?
It's kind of D&D style. Like you have a certain number of actions you can do per turn, and that action may be move, it may be talk to somebody, it may be search something.
Because I think of me if I was that. If I obviously. Pardon my ignorance if I don't have this, if I'm like being like way too, like that's not the way the game works. But like, I think for you, like your strategy works. Like, how do you delay the rescuing? Like, I would say maybe put doubt that the plan would work, like with the boat or something, was like you noticed a hole in it or something. Could you say stuff like that? Like say, oh, I noticed that boat looked a little shoddy. I don't think it's going to hold them or something. Can you say stuff like that?
Not really in this game. That's something you could do in D&D where it's a little more open-ended.
Yeah, okay. So that's why I was kind of getting at. Okay.
Yeah, that would be something like a D&D where you're kind of telling your own story. This one is a little more rigid than that. So you basically had to do it by the conversation choices you made. And this actual board game actually runs with a companion app that kind of runs the game and acts as the dungeon master. So as you're going through, you might there might be a desk you can search, and you click on the desk, and then the app tells you what was in the desk type thing. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
it's a really cool game. It's a really fun game. In fact, Brian, for the HorrorCon, I may bring one of my like smaller games.
I was gonna say if you have a tiny game like to bring, like one of your cool ones, we should try.
Yeah, I'd have to bring something.
So who knows? It'll be there. Maybe some other people want to hang out and play in the bar or something.
Yeah, I got to bring something small, obviously, because I'm trying to get everything in one backpack. But if I can,
and plus you need swag room.
Yeah, exactly. But if I can find something small that's one of my more, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something like, because you haven't experienced a lot of games beyond like the basic board type, basic board games,
right?
And I have a lot that are a lot co-op, like for example, that so you could see how that works in real life. I think it'd be cool.
Well, plus I have stuff to give you to bring back because we have some of the stuff for the stuff Cone picked up for you, from Comic-Con. I still have Halloween poster. And remember, one of those, we're going to give you a little tip. One of those, the original Comic-Con Halloween posters is going into the Civil Gore prize pack.
Yeah. So, we're not joking about this prize pack. That's got some good stuff in it.
There's some good things going in. And Cone provided some of it, too. There's also a cool Anna and the Apocalypse poster that Cone gave us so he gave us 3 of those, so Tim and I could each have one, and then we could give one away.
That's right. So get your.
So thanks, good old Cone out there, because he's providing us stuff all the time.
Yeah, and so if you want that prize pack, you gotta give us an iTunes review. Leave us an iTunes review.
Yeah. And just think what could grow into that prize pack once Tim and I are at that con. Because they tend to give away, there's some good swag they give away at these things. Plus, there's also some nice little items that we'll pick up and buy and put them in there. And you never know what else. So we could be rubbing elbows with these people, and they may just give it to us. We don't know.
So where were we? So, Blair was locked in the shed because now the paranoia starts to ensue.
Right.
And Mccready, Windows, and Knowles find Fuke burnt and assume he committed suicide to prevent assimilation from the creature. So there's a lot of questions in this movie. There's a lot of things left for you to not, or maybe left unanswered, that you can kind of go back. You could watch this movie multiple times and think different people are the thing. That's what's really cool about it at any given time. Now, to go along with that thought, what happens next, kind of, again, with the first time you see the movie, you don't really know what's going to happen. Now, granted, you might think, well, Kurt Russell's a big enough star of the movie that he's not going to get assimilated, but he ends up getting abandoned in a snowstorm because they discover his clothes and think he was assimilated. So they leave him behind in the snowstorm, thinking maybe he's got the creature in him. And as a viewer, you really don't know. Because this thing could be assimilating you off screen.
And it's kind of like a jarring thing. Like, you see them out there, and next thing you know, he says, he sees the light on in his shed, and the next thing you know, they're almost like coming back, and you're like, oh, no, I had to leave him. I found his clothes and all that, like kind of a thing. Like, it's quick, like, and so you don't, as an audience member, you don't have time to necessarily start, but why would he be? I saw him, kind of thing. There's no way to piece it together because you're just caught up in the fact that now he may be it.
Right. And John Carpenter does a great job of keeping you guessing. Like, you're constantly trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, not in a confusing way, but in a sort of murder mystery type way. Like, you don't know who's who.
Well, yeah, and the pacing on it is good because the pacing doesn't allow you too much time to kind of put it together. It's the movie kind of moves at a pretty much never really.
No, there's no dull moments in this movie. My God.
Yeah, so you're always kind of constantly on edge with the characters. So yeah, I mean, and that's why sometimes movies don't get enough credit for the pacing that they have, because if you were to slow this down a little more and had some more scenes of just stuff where you could actually start thinking about it, you would, it kind of would take you out of the movie a little bit, in a funny way, because you think, oh, well, no, but I'm contemplating it, so I'm right in it. But no, you're out of the moment and you're looking at it like, and trying to like really try and like sleuth it and find out if you can figure it out. But they don't, you're really not supposed to so much. You're supposed to be in there, get the feeling that you're with one of those characters, and you don't know, and you don't have the time to figure it out.
Exactly.
You just have to like be like on your toes the whole time.
Yeah, it drives a sense of paranoia, even in the viewer as you're watching it, because you don't know who's who and what's happening off screen, because you're not
right. That was a better way. See, I rambled. I'm not assimilated. See, I rambled that into way too long of a thing, and Tim closed it up in one perfect sentence. That's that's kind of what I was explaining. Yeah, you take the paranoia aspect out of it. It changes the movie. Yeah. So
Mccready breaks in and threatens the team with dynamite, which I love this scene.
Oh my God, that's so tense that I'm like, get too close to that. He's like flailing around this dynamite with his little blow.
Oh my God, yeah, it's such a great scene though. I mean, it's like, and then Norris has an apparent heart attack, which is to set up the next big horror sequence, which I just absolutely loved.
Oh, yeah. This was one of the best.
So Dr. Copper attempts to revive Norris with the paddles, the old defibrillators. And this scene is probably rivals the chest-bursting scene in Alien.
I was just going to say, I said, this like takes that and like says, I'll see your chest bursting and give you this.
His hands literally plunge into Norris's stomach and are just chewed off.
Chomped off. Yeah.
Which is it's a fabulous effect. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray goes into a lot of detail about how this effect was achieved. It's very worth watching. It's really, really good. Of course, Mccready has his flamethrower and incinerates Norris, and this sets up again probably the most famous scene in the entire movie.
Yeah. And
this is where Norris's head sprouts spider legs and walks off of the table. Essentially, it's one of the greatest horror sequences in movie history, I think, for my money. It's just one of the best effects and most surprising effects I've ever seen. And it still holds up. I can't stress that enough. It still looks really good.
And if that's done bad, it would look just so cheesy and just
it would look like, silly.
Really?
It would evoke laughter.
Right. And it doesn't at all.
I mean, the only thing that evokes laughter is the reaction.
Right, yeah, their faces are what's funny, yeah. But that's the intentional, like, that's you want to laugh at that, that one's,
Yeah, so now they know that anybody can be this thing at any time, and they come up with a blood test. And this is another just absolutely gripping scene where Mccready is testing blood, and he does this by dipping a hot wire into the blood. And if the blood is from the thing, like it'll jump out of the, like it'll react.
Which is a really good jump scare, by the way.
Yeah.
I have to say, even though I've seen it, it like startled me again.
And this was such a great scene because everybody's tied up and he's testing his blood, and you really don't know what's going to happen. And the tension as he dips this wire in the blood for each person, and you really don't know who is the thing and who's not.
It's like a bizarro game of Russian roulette, almost.
It really is. Like, there's this tension, like, you don't know when this, like, yeah, like you said, Russian roulette. It's like, when is the bullet going to go off? When's the gun going to go off? And it ends up being Palmer, which fails the blood test, and he transforms and attacks windows. And Mccready, ever loyal to his flamethrower, he incinerates both of them. So now we're down to Blair, Childs, Mccready, Gary, and Knowles, I believe, is what we got left.
Yeah, and Gary and Childs are still tied to that bench, and they're trying to, like, they're screaming to, like, say, get me off of here. And the whole bench is, like, tipped over now because they're trying to move. That's great. That's such an awesome scene.
So Blair escapes. Childs goes missing. Now we don't know where they are. So Mccready, Gary, and Knowles decide the only course of action they have at this point is to blow up the entire station and kill whatever is in there. So that's what they set about doing, setting up detonators and everything to blow up the station. Blair returns and kills Gary, and then Knowles disappears. So you have this constant shuffling. It's almost like the shell game con. I mean, you have these things shuffling around. You don't know who is what and what's happening off screen and who's doing what. And this is the point where it was probably the most ambitious effect in the movie. You go into a lot of detail on the extras about how this effect, they wanted it to be done and they had to settle at the time. They just did not have the technology to pull this off to the point they really wanted to. But this is when Blair transforms into the giant creature version of the thing.
Yeah.
And basically ruins their plans by destroying the detonator. And this was again, like I said, it's probably the weakest effect only because it uses some, I believe it uses like some stop motion type stuff. Or I'm trying to remember if I'm remembering the stop motion from the deleted scene or the actual movie now, because in the extras there's a lot of behind the scenes footage of what it was going to look like. So sometimes I get those conflated in my mind. But Mccready uses his trusty dynamite to trigger an explosion and destroy the base. So the creature's dead, we think. And the only people left are Childs, who comes up upon Mccready, who's sitting by the ruins of the base, nursing a bottle of Scotch, I believe. So we end the movie not really knowing if the thing's still alive in either Childs or Mccready.
I mean, in theory, if you think about it, based on what they said, if there's a little drop of blood left, it still could be alive because they basically say
exactly.
that they basically they say that even when it's dead, if there's still the blood there, it's still living, and so it's
now. If you want a definitive answer on this, and I believe if I recall correctly from the Blu-ray, John Carpenter speaks about the ending a couple of times, and I don't think he ever on the Blu-ray at least definitively gives an answer. But there was a game of the thing that John Carpenter said was canon.
Yes.
And this was in the trivia, in which Mccready does survive. He is rescued. And Childs freezes to death. So we know that Mccready is not the thing.
Right.
And I believe he's confirmed that in another way at some point.
He said that, I think he got tired of talking about it, though. I read somewhere. Like, he's like, enough's enough already. I've gone over this, because I think people still ask him. And it's like... Yeah. And I think he's kind of, like, worn down by it already, probably, but...
Yeah, I mean, and you would expect Kurt Russell is not going to get infected by the thing. I mean, that you got to have Kurt Russell survive.
Right. He's, and then, because years later he becomes Santa Claus, as we know, because... He has his experience up in the cold.
Yeah. So, now you're trying to connect this to the. I don't even remember what that movie is now. All I remember is Kurt Russell's sack.
Yeah, the Santa Chronicles. Well, sack, cocoon. There you go. See?
There you go. Comes full circle.
It's full circle.
So some of the trivia real quick, and I'm not going to go through
real
all
quick,
of these.
And I apologize. I literally was going through this trivia, and I try and, put like a bunch of ones so we have some options. This one, there must have been 700 lines of trivia.
Oh my
on
God,
IMDb.
yeah, there's tons of trivia.
Not, like, at one point, I'm like, all right, I give up. I just have to stop. I can't put any more on here. So if we the ones we give you are not enough, just feel free to go on IMDb and kind of block 2 hours out of your time. And
yeah. I just wanted to highlight some of the more interesting ones. And Brian, thank you for going through and kind of editing this down to some of the better ones. But obviously, we talked about the special effects are amazing, but they were created by Rob Bottin, who was only 22 when he started the project. I mean, can you imagine a 22-year-old creating these effects?
That is nuts.
Just amazing to me. We already talked about John Carpenter said this was his personal favorite film. Opened on the same day as Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. That's interesting. I mean, what a day.
Oh my
Can you believe
God,
that?
I know.
I mean, at the time, and both panned. I mean, nobody liked Blade Runner either. Like, what were the people in 1982 thinking? I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is it was in the middle of, the Star Wars, the original trilogy was in the middle of, it was in the middle of that. I mean, maybe people are looking for that stuff. I don't know.
This still has one of the best title animations of any movie I've ever seen. And they go into this on the Blu-ray quite a bit, but to create the effect of the title where the thing actually gets burned into the blackness, I guess, they used a smoke-filled fish tank covered with a plastic garbage bag and then burnt. And I think they had written the thing in a special something that would burn. And then they ignited the burning bag, and that's what caused the letters to appear with the smoke behind. I mean, it's amazing effect for and it was done practically. I mean, these days you could do that in CGI in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The Ennio Morricone's score for this film was nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Score, but it's now considered a classic, and he reused some unused music from this for, I'm drawing a blank, the latest Tarantino film.
Oh, and it's funny too, cause with so when the movie ended, you know how it plays the music through the menu screen. Well, I was in the middle of writing some notes down and finishing some stuff up on the rundown, and Julie was standing in the kitchen where you can hear the TV from there, and it just comes to the dun dun. Dun, dun. And she's like, oh yeah, that's not going to get too annoying after a while. It was like, I had it on full surround and it was just like literally repeating itself.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny.
John Carpenter said Wilford Brimley was the only cast member not made squeamish by the autopsy scene. Which, I mean, it's Wilford Brimley. You think he gets squeamish at anything?
Of course not.
He's a tough old goat. No.
Yeah.
The dog wandering down the hallway and pausing outside the door. We see a shadow of one of the men beckoning it in. John Carpenter wanted it to be mysterious which character was involved, so they didn't use any of his actors to cast the shadow. You have got to watch the commentary because they talk a lot about this scene.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a perfect shot. If you look at this, and they express wonder, John Carpenter expresses wonderment many times about how the hell he got this scene because this dog acts perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the dog's like walking down the hall, looking in a doorway, walks a little bit, looks in a different doorway, walks down. I mean, and he even says it was like just a happy accident.
Yeah.
That he got this dog to
They got
to
like
do
the
that.
Jack Nicholson of dogs.
It really is. It's probably one of the greatest dog acting sequences. I mean, it deserves an Oscar.
It does,
for dog acting.
Did they need to put that category in there.
Yeah. John Carpenter was disappointed by the critical reception of this movie. And either this is his favorite film. It was his baby. And at the time, that had to have been a gut-wrenching to have this panned. Because
he got the last laugh because...
He really did, yeah. The female's voice, this is interesting. The female voice on Mccready's computer was performed by none other than Adrienne Barbeau.
Yep.
Who was then his wife at the time. I forgot she was married to him. Oh my God, that's another talking point. Jeez. Your ex-husband
Basically, I guess
super
we're going to
famous.
be here. Yeah, we're going to probably be at Adrienne Barbeau's table for an hour and a half.
Oh, I guess. This is interesting, too. In 1982, before its release, Fangoria magazine had a contest. Draw the thing to see if anyone could guess what it looked like. The winner won a trip to Universal Studios. That's interesting.
Oh, you and I totally would have jumped in there. We would have totally went for that contest if we realized what was going on.
This is interesting. John Carpenter considers this to be the first of his Apocalypse trilogy. Prince of Darkness being the second movie and Madness being the third. Which, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Who can argue? We can't argue with the master of horror.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. This is actually, and this has gone in the Blu-ray quite a bit, this is actually a much more faithful adaptation of the original novella Who Goes There, which was by John W. Campbell Jr. And they make a big point about how this was a much more faithful adaptation than The Thing from Another World, which was the original adaptation from 1951.
Right.
So this one is actually very much more closely aligned to the short story, which I actually want to read that. I think it would be interesting.
Can you get that? I wonder. It's got to be a print.
Got to be available,
somehow,
yeah,
right?
somewhere.
Even in like a compilation, possibly. Or
probably
something.
an anthology, yeah, I would think.
Cody, there's your second task of the week.
There was a Tobe Hooper draft of The Thing before John Carpenter came on board, which would be in another timeline that would be super interesting to see.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fun? Like if we could go to these alternate like horror timelines just to see how it would have came out.
Yeah, Tobe Hooper's The Thing. This one did not have the shape-shifting aspect though, and this was basically a very much more of a captain. They called him a Captain Ahab-like persona fighting a huge regular alien that doesn't transform.
See, that to me, that's just not exciting.
That'd be a much more just by the numbers type creature feature type movie versus this was really a psychological film.
Yeah,
which is kind of neat. Clint Eastwood was on the possible list for Mccready. That would be a go ahead thing, make my day.
I know, and the thing, the thing is, but the funny is like. There's not many situations where you'd say, yeah, I wouldn't put Clint Eastwood in a role like that, but with Kurt Russell, may be the exception because I can't imagine that role of someone else.
No, it's hard.
I mean,
imagine.
Granted, it you say that, well, it's because you're used to it, but I don't know. That was like just that was like a how like there's certain those Nick Cage roles. There's certain Kurt Russell roles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, speaking of roles, this one blew my mind. Donald Pleasence was the original choice for Blair. And he was unable to perform only because of a scheduling conflict. So he probably would have taken it if he had not had that scheduling conflict, which that would have been interesting, though. I don't know. I mean, I think you could... I would love to have seen Donald Pleasence as Blair in this movie, although you wonder if he would have had the same... Would Donald Pleasence have had the ability to be a little less subtle? I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, he's a little...
He screams all the time. I don't know if he could... I don't know if he could turn that off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, would he be distracting? Like, would he be... I don't know.
Nose!
Yeah. There are many theories that have been commented by the fans regarding the UFO, whether or not it was actually constructed by the Thing or that it belonged to one of the Thing's previous hosts before heading towards Earth. The latter was planned to be true in the unproduced miniseries Return of the Thing. Now, that is interesting. The alien invades another alien species, which then crashes on Earth. That is an interesting concept.
Yeah, because that would give you so many endless, like, branch storylines you could do, Like, you could go, like, you do prequels, you could do, you'd have endless possibilities.
This next one is just too long to read, but there's a fan theory about, or argument about the who sabotaged the blood supply. So there's a whole long diatribe about...
Yeah, basically. But the long story short, it was they say it was a red herring. It was really just to throw you off, to keep you looking at that while other stuff was kind of going on. And I guess, they said that there was the end result is that the Thing used his ability to reach up through the underside of the fridge. Because remember, it was the whole thing with the key. Well, who had the key? Who opened it? But read it if you want to. It's on the IMDb thing.
This one's kind of funny because Rob, I guess I'm pronouncing Botten. I can't remember how they pronounce it.
I think it's Botten, yeah.
But he passed the dog thing work over to Stan Winston early on in his prep work. And this is a funny line from his interview. He said, it got to the point where I was thinking, if I have to do another stinking mechanical dog, I'll go nuts. I'd already done the Howling, and I didn't want to see another dog. I didn't care if it was mutated. I didn't care if it was riding a skateboard. And I did not want to do Cujo either. No more dogs. And then we already talked about, the game adaptation from 2002. I think I actually played this. I really think I did. And I'm trying to remember. I need to go look up some YouTube videos of it.
Yeah, I wonder if you can get that anywhere, like on Steam or something. Maybe they have an old version.
I just feel like I remember playing this. I don't think I ever beat it or anything, but I feel like I played it.
And it was for the PC, right?
Yeah,
I kind of remember. I want to say I remember almost like the box to it.
I know. Like I really strongly remember it. So I'll have to go look that one up after the show. All right, so Brian, what did you have for our beer pairing? This was kind of funny.
Yeah, so, I mean, based on, we've only mentioned it like 63 times already through this episode, but yeah, so I found something, I wanted to get something that captured the film, so what I found was Assimilation, and it just happened to be a bonus that the brewing company was Frothy Beard Brewing, so obviously, you had that Arctic beards on some of the people in there, so that was... I think worked, and that's actually it's from Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, it's not far from here.
No, not far from Tim, so Tim can go get this for all of us. It's a 7.4% ABV. Now, I didn't get much of a description on it, unfortunately, from the site. I guess they're not big on descriptions, but it's brewed to celebrate our new partnership with Push Digital. So I guess they just signed up with some kind of company and they did a beer to honor it. But it says it's a rich and roasty American stout with ancho chilies and habaneros. So it's a little spiciness in there, obviously, just like the spicy Kurt Russell performance.
Nice.
And represents the flamethrowers, I guess, too.
All right, so our triple threat last week, we were looking for an actor or actress, and these were your clues. Clue number 1, I've appeared in multiple films within 3 major horror franchises. Clue number 2, my most iconic character shares a name of song featured in a beloved family film. And clue number 3, everyone may not love what I say, but they all usually agree they love the way I say it. And the answer was Tony Todd. Tony Todd has appeared in the Candyman, Final Destination, and Hatchet franchises in at least 2 films in each. So that was our answer to our first clue. And then what about that song featured in a beloved family film? That is, of course, Candyman. The Candyman featured in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, starring Gene Wilder. And, of course, the last clue is in reference to Tony Todd's famous voice, which we've alluded to on the show many times. His voice has become a fan favorite and is quite iconic if you've heard it. So that's who we're looking for there.
Yeah, and as of this point of the recording, Cody had thrown in a guess. She had a really good guess that wasn't it. She had guessed Brad Dourif, which is a pretty good guess because, of course, I think, he was in the Chucky movies. He was the Halloween franchise. He has the voice. So she did it in, but she said she could not figure out a song. So, unless you listen to the Kill Tell Records sketch, there was Chucky did a song, but other than that, it's not a real...
But, I think the genius of these riddles, though, is that you kind of want at least two of the clues to fit multiple options.
Right.
That way, the third, it takes all 3 to really answer it and pin it down. So it's actually a good thing when a couple of the clues can fit multiple people.
Right. And that was the one, what was a couple of ones before where David was guessing and everyone was just shooting out guesses to us. It was like, that was I forgot it one, and they were all great guesses because they all fit 2 of the clues, but there's always that one. And that's, that's how, that's what was so good. Where, like we mentioned before, we got it from our friend Dan, the t-shirt guy. He used to do this for roller coasters for our group. And, in it, and sometimes it would be so, like, just infuriating because you'd have 2, and then he'd remind you, he goes, yes, but where's, this clue? So, and, and he'd do that's kind of where we base this off of, with the little trickery of the words, because that's what he would do. And so, yeah. I think this next one, though, is definitely on the easy side. I know we've said that before, but I think this one is almost like possibly the easiest, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this is the easiest one we've given so far.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, this one should be. I wanted to give a nice, easy one because, like, the Tony Todd one, like, could be a little tricky. I mean, it was definitely, I'm sure that's definitely a gettable one. But I think, I mean, I have a couple of diabolical ones still in the pipeline there, but I don't want to do too many of those in a row. I kind of want to give some easy ones in there.
All right, so here you go. This is your underhanded slow pitch right across the plate. Clue number 1, we are looking for a fictional character. Clue number 1, while I am definitely not an only child, the number of siblings I have has changed over the years. Clue number 2, I have been portrayed by 14 different people throughout my history. And clue number 3, one of the main debated topics throughout my history is what my driving force is behind what I do.
Yeah, I think these are easy. I think this is an easy one, but we'll see what goes on. We'll wait for the guesses to come in. I hope you guys are liking this game because I know for me this is definitely out of the 3 games we've done my most favorite. I think.
And I think it's gotten the most interaction.
Oh,
of
easily.
all the games we've done.
Easily.
So, yeah.
Because these are people really kind of, because you know what I think is fun about this one? It gives you a much more broadened, task to try and get the answer. I mean, the other ones pretty much you could just literally look up on IMDb or Google it, and you can find it. But this one, you need a little bit of research. Like IMDb could maybe help you along the way, but it's definitely not going to give you your end result.
No, this one you actually have to put the legwork in, so I like that. All right, guys, so again, we're going to stress this on social media a little bit more, but definitely get those iTunes reviews in. Not only does it help the show, it helps you get entered in to win a Civil Gore prize pack, which is going to have all kinds of cool horror swag and a Blu-ray in it. Not just Paul Blart 2, probably a good horror one too.
It's growing. This pack is growing by the day, and once again, we're going to purposely make it not complete until after we come back from the con for sure, so we can at least possibly get some other good surprises in there.
Right. We're going to try to time this so that we announce the winner sometime probably right after our 100th episode, or maybe even on our 100th episode. We'll see. So we're looking at about roughly 7-8 weeks from now. So you have about 2 months to get those iTunes reviews in, which is plenty of time. It only takes you a few seconds to go out there and leave us a review. So, and every entry that you put in is eligible to win.
Yes, even if you did it from the first week we started from till now. So, people who've put them in a couple of years ago, they're still eligible.
Yep, exactly. So, guys, look us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're always active on social media. We're very responsive to any questions you guys have. Drop us a line on Gmail, and we'll be happy to get back with you. We appreciate you listening to us, and we'll see you back here next week. In the meantime, don't get assimilated.
At least try not to.